Hello and welcome back to Resolutionary Leaders. I'm Helena Gotto and today we're with Josh Thomas and he is a sales expert, and what makes him a sales expert is his ability to understand why people make stupid decisions, why we're wired up to not always make the best decisions for ourselves. And because a lot of people do this in conflict, people do this where they just want to win and they don't realize they're burning the house down whilst they're winning. So ultimately they're losing. I thought that Josh would be a really interesting person to discuss why we make stupid decisions. And then also because some of my listeners are wanting to leave their miserable jobs, talking about sales psychology and how you sell things, how you effectively sell things. So welcome to the podcast, Josh.
Thank you for that. And I can tell you there's a couple of things that we can really dive into, but the reason is just sticking with that opening line. The reason that people make stupid decisions 9 times out of 10 comes down to one word: stress. And the stress, not, oh, I'm so stressed. I had a hard day at work, baby. Let's go out and relieve the stress. It's not that. Stress like cortisol. And first of all, I want to clarify, I have no letters before or after my name. I am no medical or science expert. I got like C's in chemistry in school, but I do know how to read. And I do know how to go and find people who have studied these things and really understand it. And there's one thing that if you don't learn anything else from this podcast or for the rest of the day or the rest of the week, I want you to understand how cortisol impacts your body. Most of us, and step in for anything, any kind of commentary. If I say something like totally whack and you're like, no, actually, just interrupt me. But cortisol, most of us, the only thing that we know about cortisol is we see those commercials about cortisol causes belly fat and we can burn your belly fat by taking all these pills. That's the only thing anybody knows about it. But what it really is, it is a focus mechanism. It is built into your brain to rush into your body when you're in a survival situation. And what cortisol does is it blocks out everything that is not related to your survival. And so let's go to, how does that apply to conflict? When you're in a conflict with somebody, they're saying things to you and your brain, because it's clouded with cortisol, will not allow you to receive that information. You're getting it, but the cortisol is like a shield and it's blocking it out. Why? And here's the best way that I can't take credit for this. My friend Adam Lyons, who showed me this story. He said, all right, let's say you're standing there, you're having a good time, you're having a conversation with somebody, and you're laughing, you're joking around, maybe you're flirting a little bit. And then like a lion walks in to wherever you are, like a lion. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter how funny they are or how sexy they are or how interesting the conversation is. They stop existing. The only thing that you can think, lion. And why? Because all of a sudden, doesn't matter if you're going to get her number.
Because you might die.
It doesn't matter if you filed your taxes on time. It doesn't matter if you're going to get that promotion at work. All that matters is lion. Lion might eat me. I can't think about anything else. And you have no control over this. Your brain will shoot you full of cortisol, and the cortisol is blocking everything that's not immediately related to your survival. So when you're in a conflict, your brain believes that you are literally in a life or death situation. I'll stop there to download and debrief. But
so is it? I thought it was adrenaline. Where's the adrenaline in that? Cortisol and adrenaline?
So adrenaline, again, I'm no medical expert, right? So there's like a doctor listening. Sorry, doc. But adrenaline gives you the power that you need to fight,
right,
or flight. That's like the nitrous oxide. Cortisol is doing something else entirely. Cortisol is eliminating distractions.
But both of those things are happening. So the cortisol kicks in, the adrenaline kicks in.
Yeah. Adrenaline is a very temporary thing. It'll get you real quick and then it'll go just as fast as it comes. It's basically, there's the lion. See if you can get to the door before the lion eats you.
Right.
That's what the adrenaline will do for you, and that's it.
But the cortisol is more long lasting.
Yeah, it lasts a little bit longer. Notice, like, when you get upset,
right?
When somebody makes you angry, it could take you 10, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours to calm down because it's still coursing through your veins. It doesn't go away so quickly.
Do you know what it makes me think of? When my kids aren't criers for no reason. So when they cry or when they're hurt, I know something's wrong. But my younger one, he'll be fine. Something scary, like we went on a roller coaster and he screamed, like he started screaming, he couldn't stop screaming. We got off it and then it took him a moment and then he just started to like this. And I was like, because I think he was so scared, but it took time for him to start to feel that, for his body to, I don't know, relax into that fear. Or just feeling, I don't know. It's like, and I've seen it a number of times. Like something will happen, he'll be fine, and then he'll see me, and then he'll start crying. And it's like, what is that? I know you're not a doctor, but is that?
I can't answer that, but I can tell you that fear and excitement are basically the same emotion. It's just a matter of perspective. You get the same chemical reactions and the same physical reactions with both fear and excitement, like that. The gut. You get that like empty feeling in your gut. Like, oh, I'm so excited. The same thing happens when you're afraid. And I can give you a couple of books for reference on this. I was in this really crummy marriage and it was horrible. And I'll take full responsibility. I'm not like blaming somebody else or whatever, but we just couldn't make it work.
Right.
And there was a book that I got. There's a really well-known author. His name's Gay Hendricks. And he had this book called 10-Second Miracles. And in that book, he goes back to the physiology, like being able to recognize your feelings in a physical sense and tying it to your biology and fight or flight and survival back in the saber-toothed tiger days or whatever. So this will blow your mind. When you are afraid, what happens is your body senses fear and it processes fear as a mortal threat. Like, oh, something bad's going to happen. And then what does it do to react? Think about your brain's number one goal is to keep you alive. That's the only thing your brain's ever thinking about. Got to stay alive, no matter what, at all costs. And so in order to stay alive, when you sense a threat, that triggers fear. And then you feel this empty feeling in your gut. You know what that is? You want to guess?
The blood running from your stomach to your arms and legs to help you run?
Yes. Yes. And when the blood leaves your gut to go into your extremities so that you can fight or flight, your digestive system grinds to a halt.
Mm-hmm.
That's the feeling, is your digestive system just going, and up to 80% of your energy expenditure is spent digesting food. And so now your body is rediverting all of that blood and all of that energy to your arms and legs so that you got a chance to survive. And you feel it down here because like your stomach's like always doing this. And then suddenly it's just like, can't think about anything else, lying.
Okay, so now I'm sitting at my desk and that's just happened to me because my toxic boss has just walked past and given me a look. And so now all the energy's in my arms and my legs and my head is flooded with adrenaline and cortisol. What do I do? Like and now my stomach's not working and I just sit there.
And everything's broken.
Where does it go? What do I do?
Yeah. So the cortisol can't be like removed. It's once it's in there, it's in there. And so think of it like a snake bite. If you get bit by a snake, back in the old Westerns or whatever, they like suck the venom out. I don't think that's real.
I don't think you're supposed to do that, no.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to do that. But what you can do is you can take an antivenom.
Okay.
And with an antivenom, what it does is it goes in there, and because the venom's in your bloodstream, and it goes in there and it neutralizes the fatal effects of the venom. And so cortisol is the same thing. You want to neutralize the damaging effects of cortisol. Of course, cortisol is actually not there to hurt you. It's there to protect you. But right. It doesn't realize that you're probably not going to die. You're just like in a disagreement. It doesn't know the difference.
Yeah.
And so how do you neutralize it? You neutralize it with your reward chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and to a lesser extent, endorphins.
And this is why people then get online, do some online shopping or some online gambling, or they go and eat a piece of cake, or they go and do a shot of tequila. Yeah. To hit their dopamine. Or they start scrolling. Now we can just scroll.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And it's not necessarily a bad thing if it solves your problem and it doesn't put you in a worse state than you were before. It's like whatever vices exist because people either lack dopamine or they have too much cortisol or they have some sort of addiction. But those types of things that are like releasing the stress, they exist for a reason, and they're not necessarily a bad thing, although they carry some negative health effects, but so does being stressed out over the time. So we have to balance.
I just had a brilliant idea. We should normalize just doing some completely random laughing in the office where you just start.
Somebody's driving down the road listening to us right now.
But could you imagine like that? You normalize that in your office, like whenever you feel like unsafe, you just start laughing like a crazy person.
Yeah, that's weird, but whatever works, and it does work. I've seen it. Speaking of, I've watched that happen, and I learned a lesson, and then I applied it in my own life, and it totally worked. Check this out. I was traveling in Colombia, and I was with this older couple, and the guy was driving, and the lady was in the front seat. And they were talking, and something didn't go right, and couldn't find the right place to park or something. And they were arguing. They were yelling at each other. They were just yelling at each other. And one of them, after some random exchange, was just like, it just busted out laughing, and it was over. And it was just like, I just watched it, and I'm like, that's the weirdest thing. And they were done. It was over. And I learned a lesson that day because it's like, you keep going. What do you gain for that? You already made your point.
Yeah.
And that's something I struggle with because I get stuck. And so I have my partner, and we don't agree on things sometimes, and it doesn't go well. And we work together, and it's like we're like next to each other almost 24/7, and it gets tense. And sometimes we just realize if we just walk in and we give each other a hug, like that's always welcome. No matter how pissed we are, it's just like, all right, give me a hug. Because that hug releases oxytocin, which neutralizes the cortisol. And everything gets better after the hug.
Yeah, this is something that I think has come up a lot on the podcast, is the impact of just the ongoing sense of not feeling safe, and that activating this process that we're discussing. And so I love the way that you refer to it as a venom and then an anti-venom, and thinking about, because my question is, when you're in that environment, you can't always get out of it immediately. Like you've got bills to pay, whatever it is, you just can't immediately get out of this environment, and it is a legitimate toxic work environment. And how do you maintain your sanity? What do you do for yourself? And I listen to good music and have a bath and get a massage. But I think what you're saying, it's more about that anti-venom, really like when you feel that sense of fight or flight where the adrenaline's going, the cortisol's dropping in, and realizing that you do need to counter it with something, and picking something that's not going to be destructive to your well-being is the challenge. And I'm with my hysterical laughing. I think that's...
Laughing releases serotonin. And that's why it's a great medicine. Now, you don't get a ton of it, but it is noticeable. You do feel better after you laugh because your brain is rewarding you for finding something amusing. Because if you are amused, you're probably not in mortal danger. If you're eating, your brain is, oh, we're eating, which means that we're not starving. Dopamine release. And that's why people stress eat, because stress eating releases that. The act of eating releases a reward chemical. Cool, yes, eating, that will help us survive.
Right. And then another one that is during the day, which is easy, is just getting up and walking, just moving your body.
Yeah. Exercise releases dopamine as well. And so if you're looking for that release, here's what the chemicals do at a real high level. Dopamine is your trophy. Good job, little Johnny. Gold star. You won the contest. Serotonin is what we would call the one-up chemical. And if you think about where this came from, if you're in a tribe, where is the best position in that tribe?
Yeah, the top.
The top. So you are chemically designed and rewarded for escalating through the ranks to be at the top, because if you're at the top, you got the best chance of surviving. And so that's why people are never happy with where they're at. Oh, I got to get up higher, because you got to get that serotonin boost, because it's a very powerful drug. And the only other way you can really get it is by laughing, and you only get like that much of it. But if you one up somebody, it's 20 times as much. And oxytocin is the chemical that encourages us to procreate and continue the species. Intimacy with your partner generates oxytocin. And then another thing that creates that is being part of a community or a family. So those two kind of chemicals there are all about connecting with other people, because if you're walking through the field alone, lion. If you're walking through the field with 10 people and you're in the middle, it doesn't matter if there's a lion or not, because he's going to get the other guy. You're safer in your group, and so you get a chemical reward for that. And then endorphins, just like adrenaline, endorphins kill the pain. If the lion does get you and gnaws off your leg, it's going to numb the pain long enough so you can crawl back into the cave to safety. And so that's why we don't really spend too much time on that, because it's a temporary, let's get you out of this situation kind of thing. It's like I had a friend of mine who got T-boned in his truck, and he gets out of the truck, like airbags go off. He gets out of the truck and he's like directing traffic. Like he can't even feel anything. He's in pain, but the endorphins are numbing everything. It's like helping people get around. It's like delirious. But that stuff wears off, and he had to go to the hospital. But if you understand how those chemicals work and why you have them, then you can start seeking out those rewards and neutralizing the stress. It could be as simple as going and having a glass of tea or eating a snack. Maybe it doesn't even matter if it's like a cheeseburger and fries, like every once in a while, whatever, it's no big deal. Just understand you're trading off one thing for another. For the serotonin thing, getting around other people, laughing, oxytocin, go and don't just give random people a hug. That's weird. But people that you love and trust, bring them close. It releases that chemical. And try not to get your leg gnawed off. Just avoid that if possible.
Try not to what?
Get your leg gnawed off.
Oh, gnawed off.
Endorphins, yeah. We want to avoid that one, because that's usually just a response to pain. So,
but you also get endorphins when you go running or you exercise, right? And that feels good.
Yeah.
So you don't have to get your leg gnawed off. Yeah. All right, so let's transition to the sales piece and walk us through a couple of situations where stress gets in the way.
Yeah, back to the idea that people just want to survive. The best way that we can survive is we can hoard our resources. Mm-hmm. If you live in a cave, then the safest place for you to be is in the cave. And then you have this trade-off because you also want to expand your territory because you need serotonin. And you also need to go out and pick some berries and hunt because you need to eat and survive because you get that dopamine chemical reward. And so there's always this balance and trade-off. And in a sales situation, we get into, we're always weighing, is this going to make my situation better or could it potentially make it worse? And we don't need a lot of confidence that it could be worse. We just need the idea that it could be worse. And that's enough for people to be like, no.
Mm-mm.
But the idea that it could be good, if we've got fear, you're going to have to really convince me that I need to leave the cave. We better be out of food and it better be freezing in here. And it better be like infested with scorpions or something.
You've got nothing to lose. You're going to die if you stay in the cave. You may die if you leave, but you've got more chance of not dying if you leave. Yeah.
That's it. And so even though it sounds like really dramatic, that's the conversation that's happening. That's the conflict that's occurring in our brain when we're making a decision on whether or not to buy something, because we're trying to decide, I've got my bag, my stack of resources, my money. Should I give that money to someone else in exchange for value? Is that value equal? Am I winning or at least breaking even in this situation?
Am I not losing?
Am I not losing? And there's all this doubt that creeps in because I've made the wrong decision before. More fear, more uncertainty leads to indecision. I'll just go back to my cave. I know what the cave is like. It's like the devil. And so if you're in sales, the first thing you have to do is recognize and acknowledge that every single human being subconsciously is behaving that way. There's no exceptions. There's no enlightened Gandhi-esque buyers or sellers or anything. So everybody is the same. And there's nothing wrong with that. We can't short circuit it. The only thing that we can do is, if we're selling something, don't worry so much about the thing and instead focus on creating certainty that this is the right decision for someone, or helping them realize that it is or that it isn't. Because your product and your service is not for everyone. And as long as you're willing to admit it and you're looking at somebody and saying, you know what, I don't think this is for you, and I'm just going to be honest. As long as you're willing to do that, then you'll never compromise your values or integrity. And that will show in how you communicate. And that by itself, just that honesty and answering questions and saying, yeah, this is how it works. It may not be for you. Just that by itself helps create certainty, because now it's okay. This guy's not just trying to sell me. He's advocating for my well-being. You might need to go back to the cave, man. I don't know if this is the right direction for you. Here's what lies ahead on the trail if you go this way. Does that sound better than the cave? Because if it does, we should keep talking. And if it doesn't, just go back to the cave. It's cool. I don't want you to go on this journey and fail.
I had a conversation like that recently where this company didn't want to put down more than a certain amount of money to fix a problem that was going to require a lot more than they were willing to invest. And I said to the woman who was looking to hire me, I said, I just wouldn't waste your money on me. Like what you're willing to pay for is not going to get the results that you need. And so if the company is wanting a quick fix, a 2-hour training, spend as little as you can, get it online, like get one of those like out of the box situations, put everyone through it. It won't work. And then they will still be there. And then you can come back and get me to fix it properly. Don't go halfway. Do you know what I mean? Like they were willing to go, like you could get this for $200. Don't spend $5,000 on it not working.
They just wanted, they just wanted the dopamine hit of buying a thing that's okay. I feel better about it. And that's, it's, first of all, it's a great story and it's a great point. And it brings up another thought about this, which is sometimes people buy things just to feel better. even though they don't need it, even though they don't want it, even though the right thing was put in front of them and they said no because it didn't make them feel right. I've seen this so many times, and I'm sure you have, just like the story you just told. Somebody comes in and you're like, I have the exact perfect thing that is going to solve every single one of their problems. But instead of buying your thing, they go and buy some other thing because it's shinier.
Yeah, or cheaper.
Yeah. And it just happened to me, actually. I've been in sales for a long time, and I talked to a guy who has a business that's a music teaching business. I was a music teacher, and he needed to build a funnel to sell his music teaching service to other people and market it. And I have a company that builds marketing funnels and advertises and generates leads and sales. So I'm a music teacher who builds funnels and generates leads. And this guy needed me. Like, he needed literally me.
Right.
We talked for an hour. He's like, wow, this is awesome. And then like crickets, and I follow up. He's like, yeah, we went another direction for now, but really thanks for your time. And I'm like, okay. And so he gave me feedback. I said, no, thanks for that. I appreciate it. You mind giving me some feedback? Said, yeah, like you were just presenting this idea about AI and this, I'm trying to do this other thing. And like, really, AI was like 2 sentences of our 1 hour conversation, but he latched onto that and he's like, no, I don't want that. I'm going to go with this other dude that is, there's no way he was more qualified than me.
Right.
But it was shinier, or it seemed less uncertain. It was safer.
It was safer because he didn't feel safe with AI.
That's right.
And so that piece just didn't.
Yeah. Lesson learned. I'm never using the words the letters AI again. It just scares people. For a guy that runs an AI company, I'm prohibited from using the term AI.
Josh, it's been a pleasure to talk to you today. I really appreciate the way that you've presented this primitive response we have and how it impacts the decisions that we make. So thank you so much. And now, how can people find you for your marketing funnels that may or may not use AI?
First of all, for all of the medical and psychology professionals out there.
Yeah, neither of us are doctors.
I apologize in advance for all of the mistakes and errors that I made. I'm sure that some of those were misattributed, but I was like probably mostly right. Hand grenade close.
Yes.
For those of you who are out there who are entrepreneurs, or you run a small business and you sell a service or a product and you're trying to sell more of it, but you're running up against a wall, what we do is we build conversational funnels powered by AI that automates the lead generation, the qualification, the nurturing of your prospects, and automates most of the sales process too, so that they show up on your calendar. They're already informed. They already know who you are. They've already pretty much decided that they want to buy. They just need a little bit of reassurance and certainty from the human behind all of this. If that's something that's interesting to you, we build those for you, but I'm going to give you a free blueprint to where you can build it all yourself. I leave nothing out. You can do absolutely the entire thing. You don't need to hire my team. Just go to conversationalfunnels.com and you can download the free blueprint right there. And it comes with a video of me walking through the entire map of everything. And then there's a huge guide that shows you the step-by-step process. Conversationalfunnels.com.
Thank you so much, Josh Thomas. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Take care.
Bye.